Hold on. Sorry. Welcome to the. Oh my God. Hi, hi everyone. Welcome to the. I've got a crazy German Shepherd trying to get some attention. He's gone a bit nuts tonight. Welcome everyone to the daily Charlie Kirk Bible read and Bob Rant. Very late on a Sunday evening. Had a lazy day today. Just got back from church and left the dog at home. And I think he's pissed off. He wants you, as anyone who follows me would know, he usually gets up on that couch and sits there. Not today. He's knocking on the. He's right. Won't move. There he is. He's going. What are you doing? So from me and JJ, warm welcome. He's an idiot. Best co-star you can have. Hey, smartest co-star. Pretty. Hey, just he wants a pat. He wants everything. Hopefully, when we get started talking, he'll calm down. Otherwise, if you see the laptop going up and down, that's him trying to get under the table. So just let you know early on. Hopefully, he'll chill out. Very tough to do this when I've got this 40-kilogram German Shepherd under my feet, I tell you. Wouldn't have it any other way, though. So anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Charlie Kirk Bible Read and Bob Rant. And as usual, we'll give you a bit of a look at the weather over the bay. It's been a beautiful day in Melbourne today. A bit blowy, but very hard, like I've said a couple of times, to get you the perfect view with a laptop as opposed to the phone. But there's other reasons I use a laptop. It's just better set up eventually once I get talking. But that is the bay. That's the view. By the time we finish talking, we might have a bit of a sunset going, but you can see how windy it is, and hopefully you can see the chopper sheaves out there. There's a bit of surf going on. If I was a surfer, which I'm definitely not, I'd be out there amongst it. Don't get many surfers. We do get quite a few windsurfers, though, along this part of the beach and the bay. So it's usually pretty flat, but every now and again it gets a bit choppy like it has then. There, don't know whether you saw much of it, but anyway. So let's get into our Bible read first, and then we'll get into the rant. Few things to talk about. There is a lot going on. So what are we up to? We're up to the 4th of January. God, 4 days after New Year's already. Crazy. Jesus prays for his disciples, John 17, 1 through 10. On the verge of his arrest and death, Jesus prays that God's glory may be seen in these events as well as through his followers. After Jesus finished saying this, he looked up to heaven and said, Father, the hour has come. Give glory to your Son, so that the Son may give glory to you. For you gave him authority over all mankind, so that he might give eternal life to all those you gave him. And eternal life means knowing you, the only true God, and knowing Jesus Christ, whom you sent. I've shown you glory on earth. I've finished the work you gave me to do. Father, give me glory in your presence now, the same glory I had with you before the world was made. I have made you known to those you gave me out of the world. They belong to you, and you gave them to me. They have obeyed your word, and now they know that everything you gave me comes from you. I gave them the message that you gave me, and they received it. They know that it is true that I came from you, and they believe that you sent me. I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but for those you gave me, for they belong to you. All I have is yours, and all you have is mine, and my glory is shown through them. Very interesting, pretty powerful, really, when you think that one through. So God the Father gave us to Jesus. Jesus is now giving us to them, and they're leaving it in our hands in many ways, if you read that for what it's worth. So interesting, he said he's not there to save the world, just the people on the world. So, and it doesn't give any clarity there about which people, what people, all these silly arguments that people get into. For me, it's quite simple. If you believe in God, God created everything that's on this planet. Created every human being, every beast, every animal, every plant, every ocean, every creature in that ocean. They're all God's creatures. And we're all as humans, in my belief, God's sons and daughters. It just depends on who we acknowledge. So I've always found these arguments as how we're the chosen people or all this sort of, and I'm not necessarily talking on the Jewish side, by the way, before you jump to that conclusion. If you look up the Quran and all that, they consider themselves the chosen people. In many Christian faiths, they consider them the chosen people. So I just have a bit difficulty with that, and I get in arguments with one of my brothers about that and others about it all the time, because the God I've been taught about, I just can't imagine if a person who's led a godly life, for example, a Jewish man or even an Islamic man or a Hindu man or woman, if they've led their life the best they can, not hurt each other's, been positive, acknowledge God, the one they believe to be in God, in good faith, and only God knows their heart. I can see God forgiving them if they didn't acknowledge Jesus Christ as their son. Maybe the strict Protestants are right. They're very black and white with their Bible. All I can worry about is my own soul and make sure I do everything I can to acknowledge Jesus Christ and the Father and spread the word and all that sort of shit. I shouldn't say that, should I, while I'm talking about this? But I struggle to believe that Christ and God in a lot of these passages would really turn a blind eye to someone who's lived a godly life in their faith and not hurt anyone and pretty much followed the same principles, commandments as we follow as Christians. I could be totally wrong. But you know what? I couldn't be bothered getting into that argument. I know there's others that will get in that argument all the time. Good luck to them. All I'll do is I'll just keep reading my passage out of the Bible each day. And if that inspires anybody, even just one person, to pick up a Bible and start reading it, then there's one soul saved. I've done a fairly decent job. If it inspires more, then it inspires more. It might even just give people food for thought. And from food for thought, that journey can start. And maybe someone will approach me about a conversation. So who knows? I do from time to time getting these deep, meaningful conversations, but only when a person approaches me. I never try and shove this, because every time you try and force something down a person's throat, what are they going to do? They're going to rebel. So all you can do is have conversations and allow those conversations to evolve. And eventually you might have that deep and meaningful one day. And I've had several of those in my time. And then hopefully you can do some good. We'll see. So, don't know, just ranting out of that Bible read. So here he comes again. Oh, my God. And the other part, there are some people who don't believe animals get to heaven. I had a really good priest one day who said, how could you not let this boy come with me to heaven? And my other boys with my dogs. I haven't had a girl dog yet, so maybe if I do get another dog, that's where I go to next. I've had 3 dogs, all males, all beautiful boys. And as one priest said to me, God promises you to be happy in heaven if you're not going to be happy without your pets. He can't keep his promise. God always keeps his promises. So that was his justification, how our pets and our animals and all that get into heaven. So I've got no doubt all creation, as long as they live in very hard for creatures. I'm getting D&M already. All creation ends up going to heaven. And I would say animals, whether they're wild animals, whether they're pets, whatever, they don't have the power to choose. So they're like an innocent infant. If a baby is killed, they're innocent of sins, especially those in the womb, for example, through abortion. So heaven must be an amazing place with all the people that humanity has rejected, that we've sent up before they're even born, and they've all got straight to heaven. They haven't sinned. So, very, very amazing if that's your faith. I tell you what, another interesting thing, because I've come back from church, so I might as well evangelize a little bit. It is a Sunday. With all the issues we've got going on in the world, which I'm about to rant a bit in a minute, may God forgive me. I'm a big believer to resolve a lot of this, and I don't know whether it'll ever happen because we've gone so far away from him. It'd take something amazing, I think, for it to happen. But Western society's got to get back to its Christian values, its Christian roots, and that foundation. Basically, people have got to get back to church. My humble opinion. And even if you don't believe, get back to church and try and discover God, try and discover Christ in your life. Instead of finding reasons to reject him, find reasons to embrace him. I've been watching a few documentaries this week on Christianity. I'd started with, was interesting. I had a documentary, Sean Ryan, if you watch him. A lot of stuff I liked. I didn't like his recent interview with Hunter Biden, who's an arsehole. But most of his interviews are very good. I'm halfway through an interview with the Black Hawk pilot that got shot down in Somalia that became about the film in Black Hawk Down. That's proving fascinating. But it goes for 5 hours. I'm 2 hours in. I can't sit for 5 hours straight. But we're just up to the Mogadishu battle. So that's going to be very interesting. I'll probably try and listen to that tonight. But I also listened. He interviewed an exorcist, a Catholic priest who's an exorcist, and I've just seen he's actually quite prominent on YouTube. I can't remember his name. He's an American, but fascinating conversation that he had. And the more you listen to it, the more you see the repercussions of society turning away from Christ in large numbers, which we have. I mean, ever since I've watched that, I go to church, and instead of having a look at how many people there are, I look at how many spaces there are on the pews. God, there's an awful lot. There's a lot of souls that need a bit of saving. And if you're a Christian like me, I speak out each day on this, but maybe we need to speak out more because at the end of the day, if we don't speak out, there's a lot of good people that may not make it on the other side, and that's the last thing we want. So we should at least try and plant the seed and get. Bottom line, everyone wants to attack Christianity, especially the Catholic Church, and I get that with some of the pedophilia stuff that went on in the past. I mean, I was talking to some teachers from both public and private school. I do a lot of work with a lot of the schools through basketball clinics and that for kids. And, the overwhelming opinion when I spring it, because I do bring this up, is the safest place you can actually enroll a child now would be in a Catholic school because they went through that drama and they've got all the protections to make sure it doesn't happen again. They can't afford for it to happen again. So I found that interesting, and that came from I talked to 3 or 4 teachers, and 3 of them were public school teachers, and 2 of those public school teachers said exactly that thing. The most secure places, the ones who have the most rigid protection now for teachers and staff and making sure kids are protected, is actually the Catholic system. So thank God is all I'd say. And hopefully it doesn't raise its ugly, despicable head ever again. But, and you can go all right back in history. A lot of Catholics are guilty of some of the most horrific of sins, but you can't hold the faith. You can't hold the faith responsible for the sins of the person. Everyone's going to sin, and some people are going to be demonic in their sins. But that doesn't change the faith of what Jesus taught us about sin and how to overcome it. And that I went through that journey. Why should I have faith in something that has produced all this sort of thing? But the bottom line, how many of our politicians are sexual deviants? How many people within our education systems, our bureaucrats? I was watching something on TV before about they had Sam Kerr and her new wife, lesbian couple, and they've got a kid, and she's saying how motherhood comes so naturally to her. I did have to scoff a bit at that. So if you're a lesbian couple who've got a kid, it didn't come naturally. So how does motherhood come naturally? I mean, the world's gone insane. So anyway, I really do think there is the capacity to try and bring more people back to the church, the Christian faith, and for me it would be the Catholic faith. As long as it's something that acknowledges Christ, and if the world did that and they lived according to the Christian commandments and in particular Christ's commandments, we would be in a much better place. We really would be. but that's up to each individual and group and all that sort of thing to do. So, I'm a sinner. I'm about to sin when I go to my rant, I can guarantee it. So I'll be back at church next week asking for forgiveness. But we all do the best we can. All right. Anyway, enough of the evangelistic rant. It is a Sunday, like I said. I'm just back from church. I'm in my Sunday best. I'm here with my dog, so we'll get into it. So obviously, the talking point of the day, Venezuela. Unbelievable. The most interesting, entertaining thing. I never thought that Trump could get in the minds of those leftist heads and make them melt down more than he did in 2016. 2016 was glorious for the leftist meltdowns. Well, I was so wrong. I was wrong. This raid, it's not a war. This raid on Venezuela where they've they've arrested Maduro, and that prick deserved arresting. And they've taken him back to face some justice. Good. Got no issue with that. And everyone's going on and banging on about international law and that. You know what? Screw international law. What's international law done for us since World War II? What's it done? You know, they're going to argue, well, it stopped wars. No, it hasn't. We've been, as they say, never-ending wars. We're always in wars. I mean, did international law stop Putin invaded Ukraine? Did international law stop Hamas attacking Israel? Did international law stop Israel attacking Gaza? Has international law stopped the plethora of civil wars and wars in Africa? You can go on and on and on. Answer is no. You know, the UN and all this bullshit, it's just a paper tiger. It's got no teeth. It's, you know, at the end of the day, a leader of a nation has got one responsibility, and that's to his own citizens. And everyone's trying to say this is all for oil, this is all for petrol. Well, you know, if it is, the biggest beneficiary from this is going to be American citizens. Tick. But I don't believe it was for that. Anyone who's researched Trump and his history, they know his brother died early because he was an alcoholic. Trump has been his entire life. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He teaches his kids to stay against it. He is totally anti-drug. And yet he has been seeing a number of these South African countries pouring drugs into his country and killing his citizens, by all accounts, by the hundreds of thousands. He gave this guy, Maduro, a chance to walk away, and he never took it. As I said, he effed around and he found out in a big way. You know, screw the UN. I mean, all these, every leftard libertarian idiot they get out there and saying this is international laws and, you know, he's a war criminal and he's got to go to The Hague and he's breaching the UN. Who's in charge of the UN Security Council at the moment? Who's the head country in that? Is that Iran or someone like that? I think it is. You know, there's a bunch of, the majority of the countries in the UN aren't democracies. So who are they to start setting any sort of international law? The whole point of the international law was to, after World War II, when the world got split between the Eastern Bloc countries and the Western or NATO countries, was to try and stop us going into a World War III nuclear war. That was part of it. It was also to stop us to going through 2 world wars. Fair enough. Get all that. But as Trump says, and as Rubio, who's so impressive, says, you know, peace through strength. That always used to be a bit of a theory. I mean, war's just a fact of life. I mean, none of us want war, but humans keep going to war. Well, since Cain killed Abel, humans have been at each other's throats for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I mean, we just, you know, we want each other's goods, we want each other's wealth, we want each other's land. It's been going on forever, and it will keep going on forever. I'm sorry. And as a Christian, as a Catholic, I wish it wouldn't, but it will. Now, Maduro has been an oppressive dictator prick, a communist prick, for, you know, nearly 3 decades. Him and what's his name, Chavez, They've oppressed that country, their people, their citizens. They've jailed people. They've killed people. They've taken all their assets. They've taken all their wealth. They've forced them out of their country. Didn't overturn elections where they lost. This is not a good man. He's pushed in drugs, all not just in America, but across the globe, where our young people get addicted to these bloody drugs and die of overdoses. Hallelujah that we've finally got a world leader that's doing something about it. Not only has he arrested their president, he's blown how many drug boats out of the water. Just as if you didn't know, now you know. Like Rubio said, when Trump says don't do it and you keep doing it, you're going to reap the whirlwind. It's as simple as that. And, one thing I like about Trump that I didn't like about some of the other American presidents, if you're going to provide the military and expertise and all that to overthrow a dictator, well, claim a little bit of the bounty. That's actually only not an uncommon thing out of any war. In most wars, the victor claims a part of the bounty. So if Trump and the American citizens gain a benefit out of the oil reserves in Venezuela, but at the same time they make the Venezuelan people wealthy, all good by me. Go for it. You're the one who it's American lives that were put on the line. It was American equipment that made this road successful. It's going to be American equipment that makes whatever comes next thing work. And, Trump will want to win. Trump's not a loser. He's not a George Bush. He's not an Obama. He's not going to muck around with this. So good luck to him. I think for the Venezuelan people, most of them are dancing in the streets. All the Maduro acolytes, well, they'll be pretty nervous. But there's a whole bunch of repercussions that can come out of this. All the America First idiots, or I shouldn't say America First, America only idiots, the woke right, they're all jumping up and down, probably harder than the left. It's actually nuts to watch. But they'd rather get on the side of a narco-terrorist dictator than on the side of a Western country that believes in democracy, freedoms, liberties. And yeah, you can all have your, Trump's broken into that. He's broken international laws. He's not should be banned by the UN. Good. I hope the UN go and ban him. I really do. Because where's the UN headquarters? In New York. Trump sell up the land, sell the property, give it to someone else. Good luck, UN. Who's your biggest financier at the UN? The US. Why should they keep carrying the load? Sooner or later, you've got to have a national leader that stands up for his people. Whether you like it or not, Trump did that last night. He did that for his country. He did that for his people. God knows how many lives he's saved now, because now that drug trade will not go into America. And yeah, they'll get a bit of extra coin out of the oil reserves and gold reserves they've got in Venezuela. Good luck to them. China, Russia, and Iran were already in there doing that. So why should Western society allow them to fleece Venezuela when we can actually? And they won't. China, Russia, and Iran aren't going to work for the benefit of the Venezuelan people. Trump will, because Venezuela is part of the Western Hemisphere. It's in his interest to have a wealthy, happy, democratic country on his doorstep. And he's sending vibes out to a few other countries. Cuba's one. There was another one, Honduras. There's another. If I was those leaders, I'd start talking to Trump really quickly. Really, really quickly. Because I don't think he'll muck around. And isn't it? So I think that's a good thing. You've got a person in the White House who says, hey, pull your head in. If you don't, we're going to do something about it. Now, every single world leader knows he's not bullshitting. Peace through strength. God bless him. If only Australia had a leader like that. What Australia needs to do, I don't know whether we can do it, we need to get a leader like that, a cabinet like that, and we need to get to be able to stand on our own 2 feet where we can look after our own affairs without having to worry about the Yanks. Let the Yanks look after their hemisphere. Let us look after ours. Is that possible? Israel, love them or hate them. Doesn't matter whether you love them or hate them. They are a population of 8 million, yet they've got a nuclear defense capability equal to no one else. We should have that. We already should have that. Their army, their IDF, is feared by every Muslim country that surrounds Israel. They know if they take on the IDF, they're going to get the absolute shit kicked out of them. Could our ADF do the same thing? Israel has 8 million, not that many resources. It's not a big country. Australia has 27 million, is on a big continent, and we have endless resources. So there's no reason we can't become really capable on our defense as long as we stop all the fraud, all the bullshit. Just like in America with the Somalians in Minnesota, we've got no doubt our NDIS is being used for fraudulent activity. So, God bless Donald Trump. God bless Marco Rubio. God bless Pete Hesketh. God bless Colonel, what is it? Colonel Raising Cane? I think it's Colonel. I could be wrong. General Raising Cane. What a great name for a general, Raising Cane. I love it. And, what an amazing operation. Even if you don't agree with it, even if I didn't agree with it, you can sit back and go, God, the American military just pulled off not one operation this year, but twice. They went into Iran and kicked the shit out of their nuclear facilities. Now they've gone into Venezuela and captured their leader and taken him back. All done in less than 4 hours. We've got a lot of people going, oh, well, they're doing, the woke right's doing it all again. Oh, we're going to have boots on the ground. Oh, we're going to be in an endless war. Oh, la, la. And before they can stop tweeting, it's already over. It's making so many of them look so stupid. Tucker Carlson's gone underground. He hasn't said a word. He was pumping up Maduro and Venezuela's ties. Well, he can't do that. Candace has come out and cracked the shits. And, of course, it was the Jews. Everything's the Jews with Candace. So, as a Christian, should I be celebrating this? Actually, I think I should. Because Venezuela, I'm not too sure of its Catholic population, but they have a Spanish heritage, and my guess would be it's quite strong. And, in fact, let's have a look. Let's do a little Google search because I can share this screen. All right, get that up. Let's see, because I had this put by me today. Share it. I've got to make sure I'm sharing it. Yesterday I didn't share it. Google screen. Then largest faith. We'll go largest religion. The largest religion in Venezuela is Roman Catholicism, though Christianity as a whole dominates, with significant and growing Protestant, especially evangelistic minorities, and a notable percentage of people identifying as non-religious. While most Venezuelans are baptized Catholics, regular thing varies. And Afro-descendant traditions like Santeria and Espiritism also influence culture often alongside. So Catholic is their dominant religion. So there you go. So me as a good little Catholic boy, I think this is great. All right, now Venezuelans are free to practice their faith. Or if not quite free yet, will be free to do all that. They'll be free to enjoy the same freedoms as what we do. So, fantastic. Good job. So Trump has now freed a predominantly Catholic country. Shouldn't we be celebrating that? They're out of they've got the boot off the throat of the citizenry of a crazed dictator. So, and Venezuelans everywhere are celebrating, whether in Venezuela, overseas, in America, they're all celebrating. So don't listen to the liberal media. Don't listen to leftists. Don't listen to the woke right, who are losing their minds more than the leftists, which is quite interesting. And I'll tell you what, Trump in one act, he has put an enormous, without even saying a single word, he has put an enormous amount of pressure on J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance has the Tucker Carlson and family right in his vice presidential tent. So, Tucker Carlson, like I said, he won't like this. He will not like that Trump's taken out Venezuela. He's been talking against it right up until last night, and he hasn't come out and said anything unless I missed something while I was at Mass. I've been looking for it. But there's plenty of others on the woke right that are losing their minds over it. It's been so entertaining. I mean, I shouldn't laugh. There's probably some people that have died, but then again, probably half of them They got sent to their maker. Bad luck. The greater good. Now there's going to be a lot of people who are going to experience, they're going to get justice. They're going to get their country back. They're going to get their wealth back. They're going to be able to live in peace. They're going to be able to make have a good living. They're going to enjoy all the things that we get to enjoy, but we don't appreciate. So, God bless it. There was some funny memes are going great. There was a meme about Trump going and getting Keir Starmer from England. And I responded, could you please pick up elbow on the way? It's all going to be good. And they're all going to preach the end of the world, World War III, blah, blah, blah. I think Putin and President Xi from China, they're pooing their pants at the moment. They don't know which way to take Trump. He's got them guessing left, right, and centre. And I reckon they're going to go into Taiwan. Well, President Xi's got to go, if I go into Taiwan, will this guy take me on? He's got to have in the back of the mind that Trump will take him on. So it's incredible. And there's so many repercussions on this. So sorry for taking my time. I just think it's amazing. And I think we've got to appreciate the event that's just happened. And it's knocked Usman Khawaja off the headlines. So, the repercussions, for example, with China. China was in Venezuela, and they were the beneficiaries of cheap oil from Venezuela, while America virtually had their exports of oil banned because of Maduro. Well, that's all changed. Now it's the Yanks that's going to get the cheap oil, and China's going to get nothing. That could have a big impact on China's economy. Same thing with Canada. That Mark Carney, another Marxist globalist idiot, he had a chance to, get a deal with American Trump about oil, chose not to go down. Well, now the Yanks don't need that Canadian oil. So good luck, Canada. Why'd you elect that dickhead for? The repercussions just flow on everywhere. Whether it's NATO, whether it's England. Notice how everybody in Europe are not saying too much. They're being what's the Macron? He didn't criticise Trump. I think the Italy Prime Minister, Milena, I don't know how you pronounce it. I think she did a bit. Farage disappointingly did a bit. I said in a tweet the other day, he was banging on about international law as well. When they start banging on about international law, that is code, I'm a globalist. And, I'm with the WEF and all that. As soon as they start doing that, I don't think you can trust them. And I do have to laugh at Albo's response. Oh, we're going to keep an eye on it. Trump gives a shit, Albo. What are you going to do if you disagree? You got to send out troops there to take on Trump and his mode. His Delta Force. His Delta Force could probably fix it up. And that's no offense to the Australian military, who are amazing people. But they're not giving the training or the equipment or what they need to be as good as what they could be. Albo's too busy spending money elsewhere, on all these rorts and frauds and trips and return air flights from New York and expensive meals. And it's just ridiculous. We should be spending more on our defense. We should be able to stand up for ourselves, and we don't. So anyway, enough of that. Let's I don't know. We'll try it. Let's see what goes on. I'm not going to lie. I've been on Twitter quite a bit, but it's been dominated by all this Venezuelan stuff. So let's have a bit of a look and see if there's any other news there. Usman didn't get to bat today, which is disappointing. I was hoping he'd get to bat and see the crowd's response. My guess is Quinton Dempster. What a wanker that guy is. Warning, 90% of Trump's support regarding Venezuela on social media is not organic. It's bot-generated. Oh, my God. Same CIA playbook as Ukraine. Don't be fooled. The vast majority is against what... No, they're not. I know the people who follow me. I can guarantee it. It's running 80 to 90% in favour of. The fact that they need bots to fake support shows how weak Trump is. It's so pathetic. They reach for the same talking points. I agree with this. Marco Rubio after Trump. Let's have a look. This could be funny, actually, because I remember these debates. They were great.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
Such a cute soundbite.
But no, it's not a soundbite. It's a fact.
Yeah,
Again, go online and Google it. Donald Trump, Polish workers. You'll see it. The second thing about the trade war, I don't understand, because your ties and the clothes you make is made in Mexico and in China. So you're going to be starting a trade war against your own ties and your own suits. All right.
You know what? Because
Why don't you
they
make them in
devalue
America?
their currencies.
No.
They devalue their currencies.
Well, then make them in
that
America.
Makes it well, you don't know anything about business. You lose
Well,
on
make them
everything
in
you do.
America.
You know
In
anything
Russia.
about it because you're a lousy
Well, I don't know
businessman.
anything about bankrupting four companies.
No,
You
I
bankrupted
know.
four
You know what?
companies.
You know what?
I don't know anything about
You know what?
starting a
That's
university.
called-
That was a fake university.
First of all,
a fake university.
That's called.
There are people that borrow $36,000
One at
to
a
go
time,
to
Mr.
Trump
Trump.
University, and they're suing him now. $36,000
And by
to go
the
to
way-
a university.
and by the way-
That's a fake school.
And by the way,
And you know what they got? They got to take a
I've won
picture
most
with
of
a
the
cardboard
lawsuit.
cutout of Donald Trump.
And by the way,
that's what they
I've
got for
won
the
most of the
$36,000.
I want to move
and
on.
they actually did a very good job. But
Mr.
I've
Trump.
won most of the lawsuit.
Senator, I want to
Most
bring in
of the lawsuit.
I
That
want to
means
bring
you
in my
lost
colleague
part of the
Maria
lawsuit.
Excuse me,
Celeste.
Wolf, let me ask you, am I allowed to respond to this
You're
guy?
allowed. You've been
Okay,
responding.
well, no, I haven't. I really haven't.
He's talked through the whole
I
thing.
haven't. Here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have
Here's
as
the guy that
president?
inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches and
That is so wrong.
Sorry, I'll stop it there because it goes for a while. But the thing I'm laughing at is look at how hard they're going it against each other. And obviously, Rubio got Trump's respect for not falling over and fighting so hard, because now they get on like a house on fire, and they're one of the best cabinet teams you'll ever see. They're just working in. You couldn't pull off what they pulled off last night without working well together. So I actually think Rubio is a far better candidate for the 2028 election than J.D. Vance. I think Rubio should be the next president after Trump. I don't think it's a contest either. And I think Rubio would annihilate whoever he comes up. If you can go that hard against Trump, you can go pretty hard against anyone. And I don't see anyone coming up against him that could knock him off in a campaign. And what I do love about American politics, and there's things not to like about it, I do love how deeply they go into their debates. Over here, Elbow might have one or two debates, and if he's going well, he'll go hiding. Over there, you can't hide. You've got to keep coming back, debate. And you've got to try and prove your credentials. And that 2016 presidential campaign was one of the most electric debate. They were going at each other, not just those two, a whole bunch of them. Ted Cruz was another one. I mean, Trump was so brutal. But Rubio, I do remember from that one, he was one of the few that stood up to Trump. And I think that earned Trump's respect. That's the sort of man that Trump is. Anyway, let's go back into X. Let's see what there is. We'll see if we can get here we go. See if we can get another few news tidbits. I'm getting a massive response. Nationals here today, Amanda Rowe discussed on. And that'll be interesting. I might just say that. I've got to give her credit. Susan Lay today did a pretty good statement. So I'm just saving that for myself. Coming soon to tell her, yeah, right, that's not going to be happening. Oh, political spin. If you ever get him, he's just an ALP sycophant. There's him and the guy called Stranger. They're so indoctrinated by ALP bullshit. And the left are actually getting on the side of a narco dictator terrorist. Anyway, the left are an interesting group. If Usman's Khawaja family hadn't immigrated to Australia, probably would be a Maduris in Masood Azar's madrasa in Muradik. God. And would have seen a Brahmos coming toward him on 7th of May 25 as his last visual. Lucky for him and his family, they're never going to be grateful for it, though. I tell you what, I've heard a bit about this Dawn Fraser thing. I'll say that too. Don't know if any of you have read it, but I'll have a read later on. What's this? Justin, China demands the United States stops violating other countries' sovereignty and security. Well, he's got to be careful too, because if he says that and he goes into Taiwan, well, he's a bit of a hypocrite. But, look after your own, and Taiwan's quite capable of looking after themselves as well. And that includes forging alliances, whatever you want to do. I just think the UN's past its use-by date. All the globalist organisations are past their use-by date. Australia doesn't need to go into agreements or partnerships with other countries because it's got to acknowledge it. So, for example, the Paris Accord is a UN thing. We signed up to the Paris Accord to keep UN people happy, the power brokers. If we hadn't been in the UN, we wouldn't have needed to sign up. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Our overseas aid is all dictated by the UN. Why should we be dictated by the UN on who to give our aid money to? We should be making that on Australia's own behalf. Screw the UN. There's so many in their security councils, in their different committees. There's so many third world countries and dictatorships and just arseholes that sit on those committees that abuse human rights. A lot of the countries that you will hear being critical of Trump are some of the biggest human rights abusers on the planet. So it's just pointless at this stage. Where are we? Let's go into my bookmarks. I do think I saved a couple. Hopefully I got a couple of those memes because they were good. No, into politics, I just saved a couple in there. Our libertarian friend, there's one good thing about I love about X. Like, you can get into it, show the translation, love it, go straight on. The contradiction of leftists. Our libertarian friends, a lot of them would hate this, actually. As he says, Venezuela celebrates, Venezuela is free, the left cries, freedom advances. Couldn't agree more. And I'm a conservative. This guy was well worth the listen. He's an ex-Venezuelan. I will like that, so it's in my feed. Remember Australian on that brilliant article by Greg Chappell. And, don't have much. So anyway, that's probably enough of a rant for a Sunday. Sorry guys, I just get my ugly mug back in to say goodbye. So that's it for a Sunday. It's 7:30. I'm going to get downstairs and get some dinner going. That'll make this boy a lot happier because after dinner, they're very smart. As soon as I said dinner, those ears went up. There's another word I could use, and the ears would go up even stronger. He'd actually be bouncing out of the chair. I'm not going to use that word because it would be a bit of a nightmare. I'm trying to set anything down. But he certainly understands the word dinner or food or out or just watch. This is fun. Or here he comes. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. He's going, Dad, you talking food? Yes, Dad. So I always said goodbye and back up on his couch. From me, from my boy JJ, God bless you. God bless your families. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. Oh, my flag is downstairs from the episode we did yesterday. I just realised I don't have it here. So God bless this country, and let's get it back on track. And, God bless Donald Trump, because he's going to have the whole world coming at him now. And I actually think he's done a pretty decent thing. Disagree with me if you wish, that's fine. But we live in a free country. Now, Venezuelans might get a crack and live in a free country where they can exchange different opinions and points of view. Anyway, everyone, see you tomorrow.